Long before machines ruled the world, there was a mountain kingdom called Silver Bell. The kingdom was famous for one extraordinary thing, not its wealth, not its army, but its clocks. Every street had a clock. Every bridge had a clock. Every tower carried enormous golden hands that chimed together every hour, filling the valleys with a beautiful melody. The people believed those bells did more than measure time. They protected the kingdom itself. At the very center of Silver Bell stood the magnificent royal clock tower, the tallest structure anyone had ever seen. Its giant clock had never stopped, not during wars, storms, earthquakes, or even the harshest winters. The elders always repeated the same warning. The day the royal clock stops, time itself will lose its way. Most people laughed at the old tale, except one man. His name was Lily Ashcroft, the kingdom's greatest clockmaker. For nearly 40 years, Edmund repaired every broken clock in Silver Bell. People traveled for weeks just to have him restore old family heirlooms. They called his hands magical. But Edmund always smiled and answered, "Clocks don't run on magic, they run on patience." His small workshop stood beside a peaceful river where hundreds of tiny gears, springs, and brass pendulums covered every shelf. The only person who loved clocks as much as Edmund was his 17-year-old daughter, Lily. Unlike other girls her age, Lily preferred spending her mornings polishing gears instead of attending royal festivals. She could take apart a pocket watch in minutes and rebuild it even faster. Her father often laughed. "One day, you'll become a better clockmaker than I ever was." Lily would simply smile. "I only learned from the best." Although they lived a simple life, they were happy. Every evening they sat outside their workshop, watching the great tower shine beneath the sunset. Life felt perfectly balanced. Until everything changed. One autumn morning, the bells never rang. At first, nobody noticed. The marketplace opened as usual. Farmers unloaded fresh vegetables. Children chased one another through the streets. Then, someone looked toward the royal clock tower. The enormous golden hands had stopped, exactly at 11:59. 1 minute before noon. The entire city fell silent. Within moments, every clock in the kingdom stopped. Pocket watches, wall clocks, church bells, even tiny music boxes froze in complete silence. Then, something impossible happened. The wind disappeared. Birds stopped singing. Leaves hung motionless in the air. It was as though the world had forgotten how to move. People stared at one another in fear. The royal guards rushed to the tower. The king summoned every engineer, inventor, and clockmaker in the kingdom. Naturally, Edmund was the first to arrive. He climbed hundreds of narrow stone steps until he reached the heart of the giant mechanism. He had repaired thousands of clocks before, but this was unlike anything he had ever seen. Every gear was perfect, every spring was intact, nothing was broken, yet nothing moved. Edmund carefully placed his ear against the ancient mechanism. For the first time in his life, he heard absolute silence. No ticking. No heartbeat. Nothing. His face slowly turned pale. The king stepped closer. "Can you repair it?" Edmund hesitated, then quietly answered, "This isn't a mechanical failure." The king frowned. "Then what is it?" Edmund looked toward the mountains beyond the kingdom. His voice became barely a whisper. "This stolen time." The room became silent. no one dared speak, because everyone knew the oldest legends mentioned exactly such a thing. That evening, the kingdom began changing. Flowers stopped blooming. Candles burned without melting. Soup stayed hot for hours. Babies stopped crying. The river still flowed, but no fish moved beneath its surface. The entire kingdom existed in a strange moment that refused to end. People grew frightened. Some believed the gods were angry. Others blamed witches. Many packed their belongings and fled. But no matter how far they traveled, time refused to move. It was trapped everywhere. Late that lonely night, Edmund unlocked a dusty wooden chest hidden beneath the floor of his workshop. Lily had never seen it before. Inside rested an ancient bronze pocket watch covered with mysterious symbols. Beside it lay a faded map and an old leather journal. Its first page contained only one sentence. When the royal clock falls silent, seek the heart of time before the shadow keeper awakens. Lily looked at her father. What does it mean? Edmund took a long breath. There is something I never told you. My grandfather belonged to an ancient order, the Keepers of Time. He unfolded the map with trembling hands. Far beyond the mountains, hidden inside the mysterious forest of echoes, was a place no ordinary traveler had ever found. A forgotten tower, known in legend as the Heart of Time. Edmund looked into Lily's eyes. I am too old for this journey. A long silence followed. Lily already knew what he was about to say. You must go. Outside, the frozen bells of Silver Bell remained silent beneath the moon. And somewhere beyond the mountains, someone was waiting. Before sunrise, Lily packed only what she truly needed: a small leather satchel, a loaf of bread, a water flask, her father's bronze pocket watch, and the ancient map that had remained hidden for generations. Edmund stood quietly at the workshop door. For the first time in Lily's life, he looked afraid. He gently placed both hands on her shoulders. Listen carefully. The map will show you the road, but never trust the shortest path. Lily nodded. What am I looking for? Edmund hesitated before answering. The Heart of Time. If it still exists, it is the only thing powerful enough to awaken the royal clock. He reached into his pocket and handed Lily a tiny silver key. It was beautifully crafted, with a gear-shaped bow and delicate engravings that shimmered in the morning light. This key has belonged to our family for over 300 years. No one knows what it opens, but your grandfather believed you would. Lily hugged her father tightly. I'll come back. Edmund smiled, but deep inside he wasn't sure if either of them believed those words. The road out of Silver Bell felt strangely lifeless. The river still flowed, yet the ripples never changed. Butterflies floated in the air without moving their wings. Even the clouds remained frozen above the mountains. It felt as though the entire world had taken one long breath and forgotten how to exhale. For 2 days, Lily followed the map through empty valleys and abandoned villages. Not a single bird sang, not a single clock ticked. Silence followed her everywhere. On the 3rd evening, she reached the edge of the Forest of Echoes. Unlike Blackwood, this forest wasn't dark. It glowed. Thousands of silver leaves reflected the fading sunlight, making the trees appear as though they were carved for moonlight. The beauty was breathtaking, yet something felt wrong. Every sound she made returned a few seconds later. When she stepped on a branch, the crack echoed again behind her. When she whispered, "Hello?" the forest answered, "Hello." But the voice wasn't hers. It sounded older, sad, as if someone else had spoken. Lily tightened her grip on the pocket watch and continued forward. Just before nightfall, she heard crying. A little boy sat alone beside a fallen tree. He couldn't have been older than 8. His clothes were torn. His face was covered in tears. "Please, I can't find my mother." Lily's heart softened immediately. She stepped toward him. Then she remembered her father's warning. Never trust the shortest path. Something felt strange. The boy had been crying, yet there were no tears on the ground. His footprints ended where he sat. They didn't begin anywhere else. Lily slowly took another step back. The boy looked up. His eyes were completely black. His voice changed, deep, cold. "You were supposed to help me." In an instant, his body dissolved into black smoke. The smoke wrapped itself around the nearest tree before disappearing completely. The entire forest fell silent again. Lily's heart pounded violently. The journey had only just begun, and already the forest was testing her. She walked until the moon rose high above the trees. Then she noticed something moving beside the path. A fox. Its fur shimmered like polished copper. Its tail was tipped with brilliant white. Most unusual of all, around its neck hung a tiny brass compass. The fox looked directly at Lily. Then, to her astonishment, it spoke. "You're walking the wrong way." Lily froze. "You can talk?" The fox sighed dramatically. "Of course I can. The real question is, can you listen?" Lily couldn't help smiling despite everything. "My name is Lily." The fox bowed politely. "Finn, guide, occasional philosopher, and full-time survivor." Without waiting for permission, Finn started walking. "You'll never reach the heart of time alone." Lily hurried after him. "You know where it is?" Finn flicked his tail. "I know where it isn't." As they traveled together, Finn explained the true history of the forest. Long ago, the Forest of Echoes had been a place of peace. The ancient keepers of time protected the balance between every sunrise and every sunset. But centuries earlier, one keeper became obsessed with defeating death. He believed that if time stopped, nothing beautiful would ever disappear. Flowers would never wilt, children would never grow old, loved ones would never die. So he attempted to imprison time itself. Instead, he shattered the balance of the world. The other keepers sealed him away inside the Tower of Time. From that day forward, he became known only as the Shadow Keeper. Lily asked quietly, "Is he the one who stopped the clocks?" Finn nodded. "If he escapes completely, he won't just stop time. He'll erase it." The next morning, they reached a crystal-clear lake. Its surface reflected the sky perfectly. Too perfectly. Finn stopped walking. "Don't look." Lily frowned. "Why?" "Because the lake never shows your reflection." Curiosity won when. She looked anyway. The girl staring back wasn't 17. She was much older. Her hair was streaked with silver. Her face was tired. She stood alone in an empty workshop. Every clock around her was broken. There was no father, no laughter, no silver bell. Only silence. The older Lily reached towards the surface. Her lips moved. "Turn back. You cannot save everyone." The water suddenly rippled. The vision vanished. Lily stumbled backwards. What was that? Finn looked away. "The lake of tomorrow. It shows the future you fear most." Lily's hands trembled. For the first time, she doubted herself. What if the journey ended exactly as the lake had shown? What if saving the kingdom meant losing everything she loved? Finn noticed the fear in her eyes. He gently smiled. The future isn't written. It's built. Those simple words gave Lily the courage to keep walking. As sunset painted the mountains in gold, the trees slowly disappeared. Beyond them stood a lonely black tower stretching into the clouds. No windows, no banners, no light. Only one enormous bronze door covered with thousands of moving clock gears. Finn whispered, "We found it, the Tower of Time." Before Lily could step forward, the giant bronze doors opened by themselves. A cold wind swept out from the darkness. Then a deep voice echoed through the valley. "At last, the final keeper has arrived." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She had never called herself a keeper. So, who was waiting for her inside? The deep echo through the tower like distant thunder. "Welcome, Lily Ashcroft. I have waited for you for 17 years. Lily froze. She had never been here before. How could anyone inside know her name? Finn's ears flattened. He whispered, "Be careful. Nothing inside this tower speaks without a reason." Lily tightened her grip on the bronze pocket watch and stepped through the great doorway. The doors slammed shut behind them. The sound shook the entire tower. The inside was unlike anything Lily had imagined. Thousands of clocks floated in the air. Some were enormous, some no bigger than a coin. Every one of them had stopped at a different moment. A baby's first laugh, a soldier's final breath, a wedding kiss, a mother's farewell. Each frozen clock held a memory that time had never allowed to finish. At the center of the hall stood a staircase that spiraled endlessly upward. With every step Lily climbed, the ticking of unseen clocks grew louder. Not faster, just heavier, as though every second carried the weight of countless lives. Finally, she reached the highest chamber. There, beneath a vast glass dome, floated a glowing crystal the size of a human heart. It pulsed with soft golden light, yet dark shadow slowly crept across its surface. The heart of time was dying. Standing beside it was a tall figure wrapped in a long black cloak. His silver hair flowed to his shoulders. His face looked neither young nor old. Only his eyes revealed the truth. They were filled with centuries of loneliness. "I am the Shadow Keeper," he said calmly. "I was once called Aster." Lily expected a monster. Instead, she saw a man carrying unbearable sorrow. "You stopped time," she said. "Why?" Aster looked toward the glowing crystal. "For the same reason every human fears the future." He raised one trembling hand. "I lost my wife." The room fell silent. "I lost my daughter." His voice cracked. "I watched everyone I loved disappear while the years marched forward without mercy." He looked at Lily. "So, I decided to stop the years. No more goodbyes. No more graves. No more pain. For a moment, I believed I had saved the world." He smiled sadly. "But time cannot be imprisoned. The moment I chained it, life itself began to fade." Lily looked around the chamber. Now she understood. Flowers no longer bloomed because time could not move. Children could not grow. Dreams could not become memories. A world without loss was also a world without life. Aster pointed toward the heart of time. There is only one way to restore it. The crystal had a small keyhole carved into its center. Lily slowly reached into her pocket. The tiny silver key. Her father's family had protected it for generations. This is what it opens, she whispered. Aster nodded. But every lock demands a price. What price? The keeper who restores time must surrender their greatest wish. Lily's heart sank. Her greatest wish was simple. She wanted her father to live a long, peaceful life. She wanted to return home. She wanted everything to remain exactly as it had been. If she turned the key, she would have to let go of that dream forever. Tears filled her eyes. For a long moment, she said nothing. Finn quietly walked beside her. He spoke softly. You once asked why clocks matter. They don't stop people from losing what they love. They remind us that every moment is precious because it doesn't last forever. Lily closed her eyes. She remembered laughing beside the river, repairing clocks with her father, watching sunsets together. These moments were beautiful, not because they lasted forever, but because they didn't. She smiled through her tears. Peaceful conviction. I understand now. She slowly stepped toward the crystal, placed the silver key into the lock, and turned it. The tower trembled. A brilliant golden light burst from the heart of time. Every frozen clock in the chamber began ticking again, slowly, then faster, until thousands of ticking clocks filled the tower with music. Outside, the impossible began. The wind returned. Leaves drifted gently to the ground. Birds burst into song. Rivers sparkled beneath the morning sun. Across Silverbell, every silent bell rang together. For the first time in days, time moved forward. Aster looked at the glowing crystal. The darkness around it disappeared. A peaceful smile crossed his face. I carried my grief for too long. He removed the black cloak from his shoulders. It dissolved into countless particles of light. I was never guarding time. I was hiding from it. He looked at Lily one final time. You reminded me that love is not measured by how long we hold someone, but how deeply we cherish the moments we share. His body slowly faded into golden light. Within seconds, he was gone. Not destroyed. Finally, at peace. Lily and Finn returned to Silverbell as heroes. The kingdom celebrated for 7 days and 7 nights. The royal clock tower rang louder than ever before. Edmund embraced his daughter without saying a word. He simply held her close. Sometimes, silence says more than any sentence. Years later, Lily became the greatest clockmaker the kingdom had ever known. But she never built clocks to fight time. She built them to remind people to treasure it. Above the entrance to her workshop, she hung a small wooden sign. It read, "Time is not your enemy. It is the quiet gift that teaches you the value of every sunrise, every goodbye, and every moment in between. And from that day forward, whenever the bells of Silver Bell echoed through the mountains, the people smiled. Not because they believed time would last forever, but because they had learned that its greatest magic was that it never did.